See that SUV hanging up there in the tree? Yeah, that's Karen's. And the craziest part, I didn't put a single scratch on it. I didn't break a law. I didn't even raise my voice. But that morning when the sheriff stepped out of his cruiser and stared up at that $90,000 Escalade balanced like a confused white rhinoceros, that was the moment everything finally tipped. That was the moment the whole nightmare with the HOA president blew open for everyone to see. I remember standing under the oak tree, hands in my pockets, still soaked with the smell of diesel from the tractor, watching that luxury SUV dangle exactly where it couldn't block me anymore. And as wild as that sight was, you can't understand why it happened unless you go back to the first day that woman set foot on my land. When I moved out here, I wasn't running away. Not really. I was escaping. After 25 years drowning in logistics management, endless phones ringing stale conference rooms, emergencies that weren't emergencies until someone threatened to fire someone else, I snapped. I felt eroded, like the job had sanded me down, grain by grain. So I walked away, sold my condo, cashed out a chunk of retirement, and bought 80 peaceful acres in rural Nebraska. No HOA, no neighbors breathing down my neck, no rules except the ones written on the land itself. The first morning out here felt like breathing for the first time in years. The creek-whispered cattle moved calm through the pasture, and even the wind seemed to be trying not to bother anyone. I promised myself I'd take care of this place. I'd earned this quiet. Turns out someone else thought they earned it too. I heard the sound before I ever saw her. Not the rough hum of a farm truck, not the rattle of equipment. This was the smooth purr of money. I rounded the bend, and there she was, a white Escalade angled sideways across my dirt road like it was posing for a magazine cover. Inside sat a woman in oversized sunglasses, holding her phone up as if she was live streaming a lunar eclipse. "Morning," I said politely. "Can I help you?" She didn't even lower her glasses. "I'm fine." "Well, this here's a private farm road. Need you to move." That's when she finally looked at me, and the look said everything. "Why are you talking to me? Why are you on your own land?" "Oh, I won't be long," she said. "This is the only spot with good 5G. I have to do HOA business." HOA business, like she was briefing the Pentagon. Still I kept calm. "No easement here. You'll need to head out." "You must be new," she said. New. I'd fenced every corner of this land myself. Bottle-fed calves at 3 in the morning, hauled hay in the dead heat of July. But to her, with her shiny sunglasses and designer drink cup, I was the stranger. I let it go that day. Shouldn't have, but I did. 2 days later she was back, same exact spot, same exact angle, same exact entitlement. Reclined seat, AC blasting, filing her nails under the shade of my oak tree like my property existed solely for her convenience. "We talked about this," I said. "It's a long-established access road," she replied. "Perfectly harmless." Harmless. Tell that to a rancher who depends on open routes to move equipment haul feed and respond to emergencies. But I didn't argue. Not yet. People like her don't listen. They test. They push. They smile thin little smiles to see how far you'll let them go. I learned that the hard way. Weeks passed. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, her routine became as predictable as sunrise. Then came the horn. I was hauling feed when it hit a long, angry horn blast so loud it rattled the barn doors. The cattle spooked violently. One of my best pregnant heifers slammed into the trough. When I saw her limp away, favoring her leg, something cold tightened inside me. "She's hurt," I told Karen. She glanced lazily toward the herd. "She looks fine. You're being dramatic." Something about that moment. It hollowed me out. I walked away, fists clenched, swallowing the words I really wanted to say. The next morning my vet confirmed the injury. The stress could trigger early labor, could kill her. I spent the rest of that day combing through old land deeds, hunting for any hint of the community access Karen kept preaching about. Nothing. Not a single line granting anyone any right to that road. My lawyer didn't mince words. Document everything. Every time she drives onto your property, it's trespassing. I intended to, but life doesn't wait for paperwork. The storm rolled in like a living thing, angry purple clouds stacked over the western horizon, lightning flickering silently behind them. I checked on the injured heifer and immediately knew something was wrong. She was pacing, restless sides heaving. Too early. The calf was coming way too early. Rain slammed the barn roof like fistfuls of gravel. I coaxed her into the trailer, whispering calm as thunder cracked overhead. I climbed into the truck, ready to drive her straight to the vet, and slammed the brakes. Her Escalade, of course, was sideways across my road again. Hazards blinking, completely blocking the only path out. I ran to her window, rain slashing sideways, mud sucking at my boots. She cracked the window 2 inches. What? She snapped. "Move your vehicle. I have a heifer in labor." "I'm not driving into that mud," she said. "I'm staying put." She rolled the window up, locked the doors, turned on the heater, reclined her seat. A pregnant animal was suffering 10 feet away, and she refused to move because her precious SUV didn't like mud. I don't remember what I shouted, maybe nothing. Maybe the storm swallowed it. All I remember is the heifer's cry, that low, agonized sound cattle make when something is desperately wrong. The calf was breech. The storm was violent. The clock was ticking. And Karen sat warm and comfortable in her seat. I delivered that calf myself in the back of a trailer that felt smaller than a coffin. Mud on my knees, rain pouring in thunder, shaking the ground, the heifer trembling so hard I thought she'd go down on me. When the calf slid out limp, my heart dropped. I rubbed its ribs until it gasped a ragged little breath. Both survived, but something in me didn't. Later that night, washing the blood and mud off my hands, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Doubt. Exhaustion so deep it made my bones feel hollow. I asked myself the question no farmer wants to ask. Is this worth it? Am I fighting something I can't win? But then I saw the heifer nudge her newborn calf, weak, exhausted, but alive, and I knew the truth. Karen didn't just inconvenience me. She endangered life. She'd crossed a line that no apology could ever undo. And people like her, they don't stop until someone stops them. The next morning she came back. Of course she did, but this time she brought reinforcements. 3 HOA board members rolled up behind her in a Lexus, a BMW, and a Mercedes, like they were scouting locations for a mall. "We're here to resolve a community access issue," Karen announced. "There is no community access," I replied. Clipboard lady stepped forward. "The developer told us." "The developer doesn't own my land," Karen smirked. "It's on a map somewhere. I don't need to justify myself." They argued circles around themselves, claiming imaginary rights, waving invisible documents. Then Karen made the mistake that changed everything. "I'm leaving my vehicle here as evidence," she declared, locking the Escalade dramatically. "If you touch it, I'll bury you in court." She tossed her keys into her purse and strutted off like she'd just declared victory. But all she'd done was abandon a luxury SUV on private property after being warned by the sheriff not to come back. Legal translation. She handed me the cleanest opportunity I could have ever asked for. I documented everything, photos, videos, body cam footage, and when the sun dipped low and the world went quiet, I started working. Slow, careful, surgical. I secured soft straps around her rear axle, lifted with my tractor's loader 1 inch at a time until the rear wheels hovered. Not swinging, not dragging, just floating. Then I eased the SUV forward and set it gently, very gently, on a wide, flat stump directly under the oak's main fork. Solid, safe, undamaged, stuck as a statue. The next morning she screeched up in a Lexus, saw her Escalade hanging there, and screamed like she'd walked into a crime scene. "You vandalized my vehicle." "Nope," I said. "Not a scratch." The sheriff arrived, inspected it, and shook his head. "This is cleaner than most dealership lifts." Karen demanded my arrest. Instead, she got citations. That should have been the end. But people like her don't lose quietly. That night she went nuclear on TikTok, crying mascara tears, claiming I'd hung her car from a tree and threatened her. I didn't react. I waited. Then I posted my body cam footage every second of her blocking the road during the storm, refusing to move while a heifer was in labor, abandoning her SUV, and the sheriff confirming 0 damage. 4 minutes. That's how fast the internet flipped. And then things truly unraveled. HOA chat logs leaked. Someone sent me internal financial documents proving Karen had been spending HOA funds on spas, landscaping, and God knows what else. By the time we reached the courtroom, she was already halfway sunk. She arrived, disheveled papers spilling out, lawyer looking like he regretted every life decision that got him here. The judge asked for proof of an easement. They had none. Then he asked me to present my evidence. I handed him a binder thick enough to bruise someone. Photos, videos, drone shots, vet receipts, sheriff statements, HOA financial spreadsheets, all laid out in neat chronological order. When he reached the pages documenting her misuse of HOA funds, he closed the binder, folded his hands, and said, "I see no wrongdoing by Mr. Chen. I do see abundant evidence of harassment, false claims, and abuse of authority by Ms. Salters." Karen sputtered. "This isn't fair. He humiliated me. No, Ms. Salters," the judge said. "You did that to yourself." He barred her from HOA leadership, fined her, referred her finances to the district attorney, and ordered her to pay for the crane needed to remove her own SUV from my property. When the gavel hit the desk, it sounded like a door slamming shut. Karen rushed out of the courtroom, hair-wild voice cracking, lawyer scrambling behind her. The other HOA members didn't say a word to her. Some nodded at me, some didn't even look back. Outside, the air felt honest again, still, settled. My road was finally clear. And in the quiet that followed, I realized something simple. Some people learn from warnings. Some learn from consequences. And some only learn when the world finally stops moving for them.